Go. Okay, so hello everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of Ready for Print, our final episode for this season.
I forgot about that. Oh my gosh.
Final episode, and
Final episode, here we are.
today we're going to be talking about comfort and comfort zones. Trying to push yourself a little bit out of the comfort zone, how you can do that, and how you might feel about that in terms of designing and stuff, because I feel, well, we'll get into the conversation, but it seems like doing that will probably be pretty beneficial to a lot of people in striving to go further with your practice, I think. So
Absolutely. I think for creatives, pushing your boundaries and your comfort zones is so important. Yeah.
yeah, I think it can be quite a scary sort of thing to do, because I think I'm definitely the type of person, probably especially at the start of my graphic design journey, I was very much in my comfort zone, and it was kind of scary trying to push out of that because you didn't know what was going to happen. You didn't know whether you were going to end up in a good place. Like, it was the unknown, and it's just that whole thing can be quite hard to sort of overcome, I think.
Yeah, you know what? You're really right with the whole. I mean, you just mentioning graphic design, and like your comfort zone with that. It really does go back to the talk we had about style, because when you do start, you're like, no, I only use these 3 colors,
Right.
but and then you know then you have to sit down with yourself and just kind of accept I only use these 3 colors because I'm scared to use other colors. So then it's accepting that and kind of realizing that there are other things out there that need to be explored, and especially while we're still students, it's the perfect time to push yourself and like build that confidence.
Well, yeah, I definitely, and I think that can bring a whole new, different, world of things that you can discover by doing that. You could open loads of new doors for yourself, and it's just about trying to put yourself out there. I mean, if you feel uncomfortable with it, you can just ease yourself into doing new things, because I guess in a way getting out of your comfort zone can be to do with anxiety as well. There's probably some anxiety involved in that. So you don't have to go head first into something and just be like, oh my god, what am I doing? It can be gradual. It doesn't have to be really quick.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a shove over the deep end, does it? Yeah, again, we talk a lot about making like practice and rituals out of things, and each episode I think we really do try to drill it in and just show up and do the work for the day. And the more you start to, it might be a tiny leap one day from moving from using a HP pencil to starting to work with a 2HD pencil. No, 2B pencil, sorry. It could be tiny little changes like that that really, in the long run, build your confidence to pick up new tools. I mean, every day in the wood workshop, I'm learning new things, and at first, like, I was terrified to use a table saw, and now I have to use it pretty much every time I want to make something. Yeah. So, it's little things like that. It's learning how to expand your comfort zone in a way that doesn't hurt your ego. Yeah.
I think I've got to give myself a talking to now in terms of getting out my comfort zone in terms of software, because I feel like I'm definitely in my comfort zone right now with that. And like I said last episode with After Effects, I'm very much scared of that, but I need to not be scared of that and actually start using that, because it's something important that I sort of need to learn more and deal with, since we had workshops about it earlier this year before the whole COVID thing. So that's one of the things that I need to work on. And it can be, you can make a list if you wanted to, or something, of things that you want to try, and try new things that you want to try, and you can just work through that slowly in your own time, really. So
Absolutely. And in fact, at the beginning of all my kind of projects for the university, we're always encouraged to kind of write out a list of what skills do I want to hit in this module, and what's going to be new and what's just going to be development. And I guess, yeah, that's really promoting a safe place to experiment and, you know, learn techniques. Because it's also, I mean, it's encouraging to have to do it because it will be graded. But, so yeah, if you don't have that push up the bum, it is important to write yourself a list of, right, I want a job as a graphic designer. What programs do I need to learn, and what skills in those programs do I need to learn? Because a graphic designer, even at a professional level, won't know every single tool because it changes so often. I think that's something you also mentioned in the last episode.
I mean, well, yeah, is very true, and it's, I mean, there are ways that obviously you can help with this in terms of you could ask people for that specialized in a certain area that you maybe want to try out, and they can help you. You know, you don't have to do this by yourself. It can be a very much like people, hands-on people helping you, you know, discover new things and giving you feedback on stuff. And I think especially in uni, this is very important, that that's a space that you can use to actually talk to people about certain areas that you're interested in, and they can give you crits and feedback on stuff that you've made, you know, using that sort of area.
Yeah.
A big tip to help you get out of your comfort zone is just start off by learning. And there's no way to sugarcoat it. You can either enjoy this process or not be a massive fan. But, you know, once you start to learn something and once you start to get your hands in it, it's a lot easier to then step into that practice with confidence. Whether, you know, you do a few test pieces, it's not my final, I can mess up with it, but you allow yourself that time to learn a skill, or even if you're learning kind of a new like theory, it's giving your time to learn, and then you can step into it a lot more, you know, knowledgeable, and there won't be as many variables for failure if you do your research properly. But then it's also important to just get yourself hands in at the same time. I mean, I was very much an idiot when I first stepped into woodwork and metalwork. I was just like, yep, I've seen a tutorial online, whatever, I can do it. But then really, like, I mean, for me, it's the little thing of I'll use the table saw again because it makes a lot of noise, you know, when you turn that blade on and the extraction on, it's really quite an intimidating thing that you don't quite get in a beautifully edited video. So, you know, you can do as much research as you want, as I've just said, but when you're actually in the situation, it's a whole different skill set you're learning. You know what to do, but now you need to learn how to do it. So kind of doing those two things alongside each other is just as important to learning a new skill and taking a step out from what you do know. But yeah.
I mean, yeah, I can definitely relate to that. It's sort of like, no, you can read as many books as you want about whatever.
And to prepare yourself, which is quite important.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. But then, like you said, you got to remind yourself that just that information that you're reading won't give you the key skill that you need. You actually need to do it hands-on and experience it in real life.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
You know, like you're dealing with like major machines here, so
yeah. If I lose a finger, that's on me.
Well, yeah. So you need to like actually use it and learn how to use it. Actually, are a master at using it and know how to do it.
Yeah, and in fact, a great way for me to do that is to kind of build my connections. Quite luckily, in university, my connections are hired and they're very accessible. But if you want to start getting illustration, maybe it's a point of messaging someone on Instagram. You really like their style, you ask them what tools they use. You know, people want to help. Us creatives, we're not scary people. You know, I think a big thing that will help you step out of your comfort zone is building contacts and surrounding yourself with talent and talented people, and then you really, you know, you'll get the confidence. You know, I like what I'm seeing, and it will push you to make you make what you like to see. I don't think that makes sense, but that makes sense to me.
understand what you're saying. Yeah, no, it definitely, I think it probably, for a lot of people, if you're a bit nervous about asking someone in person for help, like you said, on the internet, online, there's no face-to-face interaction there, so it's a lot easier to sort of contact people. And like you said, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be willing to help you, because I mean, everyone wants to form connections in the artistic world. You want to form bonds and friendships, and just know as many people as you want to know, with all these different areas of expertise. So, if you're the type of person, probably like me, who is a bit nervous about talking to someone I don't know completely, then online is definitely a very good option for you if you want to learn a new skill out of your comfort zone. But I mean, also, I think you've got to also remember that if you do try something out of your comfort zone, it's okay if you don't, if you fail at it, because I mean, you've tried it and you've gone out of your comfort zone and done it, and that's an accomplishment in itself. Like, you don't have to succeed in everything that you try.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and actually, when you do first start, I mean, we were talking about it last time with satisfaction, you know, you've got to accept when you start something, you can't expect to be the master at it straight away. You do have to start somewhere, and I think again, it's keeping, surround yourself with talent, but don't expect yourself to be in that pool just yet. It's setting your goals just a couple steps above where your actual skill set lies. And again, that will help you just tease your way out of your comfort zone, so you're not just repeating your same color scheme over and over again. I think that's a good example we can use. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I guess, like we said last time, being in this sort of industry, you're never really in your comfort zone. You never really should technically be in your comfort zone, because that can be a bad thing.
Yeah, that's such a great example. And later on in the show, we're actually going to talk to Blessing, who has just got her first role as a junior content designer. And I mean, she's going to really be able to talk to us about what that means, especially in a professional context where, she's had to take those, leaps out of her comfort zone, because otherwise she'd be making the same work all the time. And even if it's a little thing like going to a new spot for lunch, it's really important to keep things fresh so your mind doesn't get rotten.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, she's the first person that we would talk to who actually works properly in the industry.
Yeah.
So that's going to
the
be
rare instance where someone creative's got a job. What?
So that's going to be a whole new perspective that we're going to get, which will be really, really interesting, I think, most definitely. And I'm very excited to hear about what she has to say about how she's dealing with it, how it was for her at the beginning, because I'm sure that was a big leap for her. I mean, it would be for me.
Showing up for that first day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Like, meeting all these people that I mean, she must have thought they were like just gods. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. I'm sure. I mean, I would be. I mean, just stepping out of university and going straight in, I'd be like, oh my God. But,
I guess it's also an element of confidence of being like, no, I'm here because I'm good enough. And yeah.
And then that will probably help you feel more comforted in outside your comfort zone, if that makes sense. You'd feel like you belong there.
What we've been speaking about this whole time, all these little actions, it is just trying to make yourself feel comfortable outside of your comfort zone. These little baby steps, and learning, surrounding yourself with people. It's all little things you can do to try and make yourself feel confident to step out of your comfort zone. Because, if you stay in your comfort zone for too long, and if you stay too far into your comfort zone for too long, little things that you used to find really easy become quite difficult. Even if it's things like during lockdown, I mean, we're all going to be so affected because we're all so used to the comfort zone of our own home that, like, you know, going to the shops for the first time, like retail when they first opened, it was such a big step. But like as soon as I did it, I mean, I work in retail, so going to work, I was like, oh my god, I shouldn't be here. I'm gonna get COVID. But I've done it for 3 months, and I mean, now we're back in another lockdown. But I didn't get COVID. You know, it's little things, and it can relate to so much of your life. So even if it's not a creative quest you're struggling with, you know, these points are still really, really relevant.
I think even if you feel a bit uncomfortable, just make it seem like, especially in a new working environment, try and make it seem like that you know you belong there and you feel more comfortable there, because I think in a workplace they want to make sure that you feel as comfortable as possible. So if you just
Oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah, so if you just calm yourself down a bit, but also put up a little bit of a facade that you know you are comfortable here, then it'll just be
Yeah.
create a better environment, I think, for everyone. And I think probably you'll end up tricking yourself and calming yourself down subconsciously, because you're telling yourself, I am comfortable here, because I think that's the sort of thing that you need to tell yourself, really.
Absolutely, yeah. But I think it's finding that trick again. Everything we talk about is just like a seesaw. It's that trick of being able to put on a facade, but also to be quite humble in your actual abilities. Because you know you've landed the job, they've seen potential in you. There's no point being like, yeah, I totally know how to use After Effects, Hannah. And then they give you a project completely on After Effects, and you realize, oh, that facade I put on was false. I can't do this.
Yeah, okay, so that's yeah, okay, so that's very much an instance where you definitely should not put up a facade. You've got to be honest and say you don't know how to use After Effects, yeah, because that could end badly. So advice to everyone, don't claim that you know something when you actually don't. Okay. That's bad.
Learn
Okay.
it first and then say you can do it.
Exactly, learn it first. Get out of your comfort zone and learn it first. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
advice.
I mean, we should just get on to talking to Blessing. I think she really will fill us with a lot more knowledge than, I mean, we are assuming that feeling of the first day, but I'd like to hear from Blessing what it's actually like, especially, you know, getting a grad job. Huh? Is that a real thing that happens? I didn't know that. Right, well, let's get on to speaking to this absolute anomaly. And see, let's hear her experiences and see how it can relate to you listening. Or, I mean, we always find that these guests bring us so much knowledge and power. So, yeah.
So here we have Blessing, who is a junior content designer. Who's been a junior content designer for about a year now. Is that right? Yeah. I think that's right,
Yeah.
isn't it? So she's fresh out of uni last year, went straight into a job, which is amazing.
Yeah, big fat congrats on that one. I mean,
Thank you.
So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to talk to you about comfort zones and what it was like for you when you first started your job and stuff. So if you'd like to introduce yourself and sort of go through some stuff that you want.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I got an internship over summer of last year. Yeah, for 3 months, and then that helps to ease me into the job, and then they decided to give me a full-time role. So yeah, I was working closely with another designer, and the first project I had to do, thankfully it wasn't too design heavy. Basically I had to update some copy for a prospectus, so they did have the design, it's just that I had to change the images and adjust the layout a bit and add the text in. And I think that was a good experience, because even though you have to keep the same brand guidelines, you still have to adjust everything to make sure all the text flows. And then they'd gradually ease me more into like bigger projects, and like slowly I had to start getting more independent, and also they started to expect a lot more from, I'd say, like after after it hit like 6 months, I realized, okay, yeah, I need to start being more like proactive, and yeah, like there's no chance for you to stick with what you're comfortable with, because the clients that you work with, you literally have to like come up with different ideas and concepts and stuff and send it off like really quickly.
I can imagine the whole process is like really rapid. I mean, even for uni now, I feel like the process is rapid. But I mean, I think, like, I've talked to you before about it. I can imagine it's absolutely probably like 10 times more than what it is now for me, and probably for Bex. It's probably
Yeah.
a lot. And I mean, I'm finding it intense now. I mean, I can't imagine how that was for you. I mean, going from such a different environment, it must have been crazy, trying to adjust to that, and trying to probably, like we said, me and Bex talked about earlier, being like comfortable out of your comfort zone, like trying to find that area where you're comfortable not doing what you're used to doing, and trying to adjust to that sort of thing.
You know what, I found it very interesting that you said, like, especially I don't work in graphic design very often at all, even. But, saying that, sometimes you do have to work to brand guidelines and set, like, client briefs, and sometimes that's the comfort zone in itself. And it's like having the confidence to be like, I know you said you wanted green, but what about a dark green? How about that? And, it's kind of taking risks, and like sometimes that will pay off, and you'll see the rewards of that, and sometimes it will be a small little rejection, but in our heads we always think that the bad is really bad and the good isn't worth doing. But little things like that, and following a brand guidelines, it's easy to do, and then it's like, but where can I take this brand guideline, pretty much. At least I think, I mean, I don't know the graphic design, so.
Yeah, that is quite true. Yeah, actually, that does link into something I got feedback on after, I think after like 3 months of being full time. They said that I should, that even if I do have like set guidelines, I should also show some alternatives. And then it might turn out that they actually like the alternative. So first you show them what they want, and then show them like a different version that it might turn out they want elements from both or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
has that been has that happened quite often, that they've wanted a mixture of both?
Yeah. Like me and the other designer have like a little running joke that sometimes we might agree on a version that we know looks the best, but but we know that they'll probably like the other version.
Well, I mean, it's sort of like working towards a client. You sort of have to please them, don't you, in a way? So
Yeah.
again, that's sort of like stepping out of your comfort zone, in terms of you might give them a design that you don't really agree with, but I mean, you have to do it because that's what they want. I mean, and you can advise them on something, but it's sort of, you have to really like make sure that they're happy with it, and that can be a
Yeah.
bit well, I'll just do it anyway because that's what they want, sort of thing.
That's such a great point of, the kind of struggles with working with people, it's completely a comfort zone of, like, you want me to use Comic Sans on that? Okay. I don't want to, but I will. But yeah, that in itself, it's like, it's kind of being able to put your personal aside for a second, and just being able to just be a complete open book, and kind of let yourself do those silly demands of using Comic Sans.
Yeah, I mean, talking to people, again, just in general, probably it can be something quite daunting for a lot of people. I think when I eventually start in a studio somewhere, that's going to be something that's going to be quite difficult for me, because I mean, I'm quite an introverted person, so actually eventually having to communicate on a daily basis with people and trying to talk about ideas with people and with clients would probably be quite difficult for me. And I assume that maybe that was a challenge for you as well when you've like first started.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. I was kind of stuck in like the kind of like school education mentality at first, that I thought that I'd have to wait to the right time to like speak to certain people and just like get on with things, but they actually wanted me to talk a lot more. So they gradually like got me more involved in the conversations, and they said like, look, if there's something that you want to say or ask about, just approach us, just come to our desk. That is okay. Or like, if there's anything random you want to talk about, just start talking. Like, I think that just, it really helps just getting that reassurance that they understand where I'm coming from. Like, a few of them, this was one of their first jobs as well, so they do understand that it is a bit daunting. And like, I think the funny thing was, after my 3-month internship, they asked me, do you enjoy working here? And I was thinking, oh, did I not show it? Because they kind of not really, I guess, like, they weren't like too sure of what I was thinking, because I didn't say too much. But I think over time, especially like getting to work on different projects with different like team leaders as well, that also helps. And remembering that if you're ever like unsure of anything, there are people there to talk you through it. Like, even if you're literally stuck on a project, just say at the beginning, and they understand, and they're willing to have like extra meetings just to discuss it.
I guess that's something you have to remember, that there's always going to be there'll be people there to help you along the way, with everything. You're not going to be alone. And like you said, in the new job, they knew that you were new and that you were probably sort of anxious about starting everything. So they knew that, and they made sure that you were comfortable and everything. And they were like, oh, just come to me whenever. I mean, I think that's really nice, because I definitely would need that, because I definitely would not willingly go over there randomly if they hadn't talked to me about it beforehand, because I'm just not that type of person. I'd just be terrified to do that. So I mean, I'm terrified to talk to people in general sometimes at uni. So it's sort of like, I find that personally a very nice thing.
You know what? It's quite kind of reassuring to me to hear as well, because I am the complete opposite of Hannah in that regard. As I will go over to the desk to ask if they have a spare eraser. I really don't. I'm not that shy of a person, but it's being offered that hand that you kind of. It's the silly questions I'm a bit more like, should I know how to answer this myself? So with little things like that. Even though I do have the confidence to go over there and start up a conversation, it would be things like, am I okay to say, I think that we should set this, graphic poster on the moon? Because I like the moon. And I guess also with kind of building up a kind of career and professional attitude outside of a comfort zone is also accepting. I mean, I say a lot about having silly ideas, but no idea is a silly idea, because if it's done well and if it's done with reason, it's really, every idea should be considered. It's just being having the confidence to not be so embarrassed, I guess, which is something I think like young people especially always deal with. I think it's embarrassing when I open the door the wrong way, but like, why? If it's not got a push-pull sign, how am I supposed to know?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's about asking questions, isn't it? It's about always willing to ask a question. So like you just said, not knowing which way to open the door, you just had to ask someone, and then they would tell you, to avoid that embarrassment. So it is, and I think that, again, that can help you when you're out of your comfort zone. You need to keep the communication up.
Yeah, and turn to people that do know their stuff. It's accepting, again, going back to satisfaction, it's accepting that your technical skills aren't there. And it's being able to turn to people around you, being like, the pen tool, how does that work? How do you make it bend? That's the type of things I'd have to ask.
Yeah, no, there's definitely instances where I have asked questions that probably could have been answered. I could have answered myself, or they were quite silly questions. But I mean, the person I asked was willing to answer, and that's all that matters, isn't it? As long as you get a good answer and a solid answer, that's all that counts. It doesn't matter how stupid the question is. That's all that counts, I think.
Yeah, that's actually something that did come up on my review recently, actually, that they actually said they really like the questions I ask, because there's only like only two of us are designers there, the rest do like marketing and stuff. So sometimes they will set us a brief, but but there's a lot that we don't actually know about the project. So sometimes like even sometimes like having a deadline, sometimes they forget to put it on the brief. So it's stuff like, oh, what's the deadline? What kind of design do you want? Because sometimes they ask something and they're not actually sure, or they have something else in mind but they've written the wrong words down. So I think, like, I don't know how to say, like, be confident in your skill set, because your skill set is unique to you. So the questions that you ask from your perspective will open their minds to another thing that they might not have thought of as well. So like, literally, like, if you don't understand something, and even though you've read all the information, you've listened to their briefing, there's a good reason why you don't know. So it's worth asking, because maybe that they might not have considered that, or they said it the wrong way, and they thought that you understood. So if you don't say anything, they assume that you know what you're doing. But even like sometimes they might apologize that, oh, sorry, I didn't say this the right way, or I assumed something, or like, even if they might have misinterpreted how long something takes to do, they can understand that and work it into the deadline as well.
That's so interesting. I mean, the whole thing of you like being able to not only ask questions but also like semi-correct people, like, oh, you thought that was going to take that long. Actually, from my perspective and my knowledge and skill set, I know it's going to take me a bit longer to do it. It's being able to, kind of share your opinion when needed, because then it will help you complete your task better.
What was it like for you when you like first completed your first project?
First, and I guess even like the feedback on that, what was that like?
Oh, I was really shocked, because like because like at uni you're so used to being around other designers, and you set your standards based on them. So the moment I finished my projects, they were like, oh, this is really good, you did it so fast. And I was thinking, fast? Like, oh, okay. And I think a good thing, sorry, a good thing I learned from that as well is also a few like really good techniques to adjust images for printing as well, because the other designer has worked a lot with printing stuff. So I did learn quite a few tips, and I think I'm really grateful that I learned how to use InDesign in the past, because that really helped. But yeah, I think it was a nice, yeah, it was a nice like surprise.
You know what? I think it's also being able to take that kind of fear of, leaving your comfort zone and turning it into a positive. Like, I was so happy to learn about how to print properly from InDesign. That's such a great attitude to have, and not being like, oh no, I can't do it because I don't know how to do it. It's like, no, 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 I will do it. It'll just take me a few more days to learn how to do it. And I think that's what I was trying to get at with like being able to correct people, like, you know, I might have to extend that deadline a little bit because I'm still working on it, or I'm still learning how to do this thing to give you the best outcome I can do.
Yeah, they do even ask us like, what do you want to learn more about, and they do offer training for that as well. So yeah, like I got some more like video training and motion graphics training. Like the video training was a course in London, and the motion graphics training was an online course. And yeah, they're always asking like, oh, is there any training you need, and what areas do you want to work in future? And then they want to create like more opportunities for us. So I've been doing a lot of video editing for them, and like motion graphics videos for social media. And yeah, they're trying to incorporate a lot more like design stuff. So I'm really grateful for the opportunities, really.
So amazing to hear. And then I guess you taking that jump out of your comfort zone to learn something new, even though it didn't, maybe to you it might, you wanted to do it so it didn't feel like that much of a step out of your comfort zone. You really are broadening your skill sets and then becoming a more valuable employee to them.
Yeah, no, I definitely. I'm really surprised that you said that because I mean, no, I didn't imagine. I guess I'm sure there are a lot of companies that probably do that, but I think that's really cool that they want you to learn more and they want you to be, develop as a designer. And I'm guessing you, because there's only two of you, they want you to be the best of, that you can be, so they want to give you as many opportunities as possible to be able to work on a whole range of stuff for their clients, I assume. So
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. I mean, I hope I end up in a job like that where they're like, oh yeah, do you want to learn this? Yeah, go on this course. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's so good. And I guess the more that your employer can expand your skill set and confidence, the more work they can take on. Because no employer wants to turn down work, oh, yeah, we'd really like to do that, but our designer doesn't really know After Effects so well. So unfortunately, we can't do that for you.
So you have to sort of push yourself into learning something new, because otherwise it's going to be, the whole process will be much longer than it needs to be, because you decided not to learn a certain software that will shorten that whole process. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
mm,
I think there's one thing is assume that like once you finish uni you have to like be perfect at everything, but actually you can still keep learning like as you get like different jobs and stuff. I think yeah, that does link to the comfort zone thing, that you will have a lot more opportunities to gain more skills beyond just the course that you studied. And there's a mix of like free courses, paid courses, and you could even get funded to learn a lot more stuff that can help you on your job.
yeah, I mean, I guess in a way that, yeah, that is sort of like when you first finish uni, I'm sure a lot of people feel pressured to think that you should know everything to do with this subject that you studied, that you should know all of it. And then you feel, and a lot of people probably feel like, oh no, I don't know all this stuff. And I feel really out of my depth and like out of my comfort zone with this whole thing. And being in a new world, in the real world, in the adult world, you're not in education anymore. That's even, it probably makes it even worse. But I guess that's a good, what you said, it's a good thing to say that you don't need to know everything.
Yeah, you know what? And I think I feel some sort of comfort, comfort zones. I feel some sort of comfort hearing that from you and hearing, after your experience in industry, it's okay to not have to know everything. I've only got a couple months left at university to what I felt like was to learn everything and make myself, the top dog. But it's really nice to know that I don't have to rush that process, and it can still be something that is grown quite naturally.
I mean, university, I guess, in a way, it gives you that, you feel a bit pressured, like you said, to sort of be the top dog at the end in third year. You feel pressured to be like, I'm the best of the best.
Hi, me. Like, yeah, it does sometimes feel like you have to be the best of the best to even get a grad job, which is not the case. That would be ridiculous.
Yeah, they actually value your potential to keep growing and learning more than you being like the best person ever, because you'd still have to grow like within the job as well. But I think people get caught up in like getting the best grades, being the best student ever, but if you're all of those things but then you can't work with people and actually like listen to people above you as well, then you probably won't grow quite a lot.
Yeah. Well, it was really interesting hearing what you had to say. But yeah, thank you again for your time. I've really, it's been quite comforting, and it's nice to have a bit of comfort in an episode where we are talking about stretching those comfort zones, because it is important to, have a metaphorical cup of tea to come back to. And, for me, that cup of tea will be knowing that, it's okay to not be the best right now, because you do need that space to grow, as you were saying.
This whole thing was definitely more eye-opening. I think for everyone listening, it will be a valuable conversation because, again, we haven't had anyone who actually has a job yet in the industry. So a brand new perspective, really valuable. perspective to have. So yeah, I'm very grateful to have
Yeah.
you, Blessing. It was very good. Thank you.
A round of applause.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. So I think that was a really good conversation that we had with Blessing.
It's so interesting to finally hear from, you know, someone that's in the professional world and, you know, can really give us that perspective. I didn't expect that talk to take, you know, a turn so much into, you know, being quite positive about what a comfort zone means in a professional setting. I think it was really interesting.
Well, yeah, I think she definitely gave us a new perspective. I mean, the conversation like moved on to some areas that I didn't actually think we'd talk about, but it was good that she talked about, you know, the process of her working in that environment and stuff, and just getting an insight on what it was like for her this year so far.
Absolutely. I mean, a really, really valuable talk we just had. And I mean, I'm kind of sad to leave season one. You know, we'll be back in a few weeks or months with season two.
Will be better, you know, it'll be good. I
Yeah.
think we'll be in our flow a lot more, and we'll be comfortable out of our comfort zones. So
Yeah, and you know what? I think it would be so great. I mean, even comparing like our last episode or even this episode to our first, which was also conducted over a Zoom call, it's so great to see how they've changed, and you know, we really are growing with this, and you know, our creative practices are growing from what we talk about, and even our podcasting skills are really quite quickly growing as well. I think it's been a great experience season one. Yeah, I can't wait to see what we get up to in season two. So this is our final goodbye for season one. But we will be back.
we will be back. Thank you.
Thank you.